Hey NYO-U, I'm Elias Medina. I'm an oboist from Miami, Florida, and I've been lucky enough to do NYO-USA for 2 summers now, and I've traveled to Europe, and I'm going to be traveling to South America with some of the best people on the planet, and I'm really excited to be going to the New England Conservatory in Boston in the fall. Playing in an orchestra is the fastest way to connect with 60+ people without saying a word. Although, we might encounter problems when words come into the picture. That's okay though, because I'm here to help. Tip number 1, redirecting the conversation. As a wind player, playing in small sections can be a blessing and a curse. We end up getting to know the strengths and weaknesses of every player in our section really quickly. Naturally, when different musicians start talking about how a rehearsal or a concert went, certain names might come up if someone had an unfortunate moment. In order to maintain a respectful and collegial environment, you should always try to redirect the conversation to something different. You should always ask yourself, does this really help the music-making process? By changing the subject, you can avoid a lot of conflict or even heartache for another colleague. Tip number 2, making rehearsal a safe space. One of the things that has always intrigued me about playing music is the ability to choose how you want to express yourself, how you want to play certain phrases. I'm not a surfer, but playing in an orchestra is really similar. Like in surfing, sometimes you might end up wiping out. And in an orchestra, I make mistakes all the time. I know when I make a mistake, it would be awfully nice if my colleagues would just brush it off and move on. If you do end up wiping out, you would just want your colleagues to brush it off and move on, or for someone to give you another chance. It's really important to create a safe space for others in the rehearsal room, because making mistakes is how you learn and what keeps music alive. Music is constantly changing, and it's really important to allow people to express themselves and make their own artistic choices so that we can keep things exciting, new, and fresh, especially for the audience. Besides, we all know that the most important lessons we learn come from making mistakes. Tip number 3, part assignments. Oboists get some of the best solos in symphonic repertoire, and I always find myself overwhelmed with nervousness and excitement when I have to carry that responsibility. I often find myself coveting that big solo or that duet with another instrument, and then I'll usually ask myself, what if that dreamy part gets given to someone else? If someone else gets the part, take a deep breath. Besides, you will not always be playing principal. Music is a changing art, and difficult decisions are always made by music directors assigning parts. I know the first thought to come to mind is, I didn't get this part because this person is better than me, or I had a really bad audition. This kind of thinking can actually be really detrimental and toxic. Comparing yourself is usually never positive and can destroy every ounce of self-esteem you have. You should always try thinking positively and building yourself up as often as possible. As cliche as it is, your only competition is yourself. So if you have a bad audition, always think about what you can take from the experience and think positively instead of beating yourself up. Tip number 4, dealing with strong egos. Sometimes you will end up working with other musicians who are really insecure and feel the need to talk themselves up to feel better about themselves. Do not get this confused with positive thinking. Positive thinking is very selfless and is only used to help you maintain good mental health, and it's a necessary part of being a good musician. If you don't think positively, you actually might become one of these people. When working with someone with a strong ego, the best approach is to approach them with kindness. Everyone makes mistakes, so if this person is having a bad day and showing uncharacteristic behavior, give them a chance and just be kind to them. By using kindness, this will allow them to reflect on their behavior. If this is your colleague's natural behavior and you're being affected adversely, you should probably just think positively for a second. Don't compare yourself and try to emphasize that behavior is a result of insecurity or even jealousy. Remember to always stay on your own path, remember the concepts in your head, and try to think of other people as little as possible. Tip number 5, getting to know people. As I mature as both a human being and musician, I find that the best way to avoid competition is getting to know people on a personal level. Musicians are actually way more alike than one would expect. Going to get food, going on a road trip, walking through a city are just some of my favorite ways to get to know other people. Finding common ground is extremely important, and for all the double reed players out there, we all need reed help, so yeah. Usually if you know someone pretty well, you'll have a sense of newfound respect for them and a sense of compassion that you wouldn't have otherwise. Remember, it's always a lot easier to say hurtful things to a stranger than it is to your best friend. Let's recap. Number 1, always redirect the conversation to something positive and productive to the music making. Number 2, try to create a supportive environment for your colleagues and for yourself in rehearsal. Trying new things is 100% necessary to the music making processes, and remember, squeaks, cracked notes, watering keys, all sorts of things, bad read weeks, you name it, it's gonna happen, so be someone's friend. Number 3, all parts in orchestra are equally important. Part assignments and auditions are never good ways to measure your self-worth as a human being or musician. Remember that auditions and part assignments are as unbiased as possible. Tip number 4, the music world is full of big personalities and egos. If you're working with someone with a big ego, worry about yourself and remember that it's usually out of insecurity or jealousy. Number 5, go have fun and meet some new people. Part of the fun at NYO is getting to do that every single day, and so we can't make good music if we don't live life to the fullest, so live life to the fullest. All right, guys, hang in there. I hope some of these ideas resonated with you. I know it's quite a bit easier said than done, but remember, this is so important to a good dynamic in orchestra and in your life. Lastly, remember, it's always a better thing to be a good person than a good musician. Elias here with NYO-U. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the NYO-U playlist and NYO-USA. Rumor has it that if you subscribe, you have better practice sessions. Good luck with everyone around you, and thanks for watching.